everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Amanda, for those of you that don't know, and today's video I'm going to be answering a question that I get quite frequently. I get this question from a lot of people in my personal life, my family and my friends, and I guess it's because they see how busy my life is, how many different roles I have. So basically I am a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a full-time doctor, I am now a content creator as well, and usually I have a few other projects happening in the works behind the scenes of things too. And so the people that know quite well often say, how do you keep up with everything? How do you keep your house together and your schedules together? How are you leaving the house on time and how are you juggling it all? And so this video I'm going to be answering that question. Amanda, how do you do it all? Now, there are 6 things that I do so that I can keep up with, you know, my quite busy life, and those 6 things I'm going to share with you, and hopefully there can be tips and things that you can implement into your life as well to help you, you know, do all the different things that you want to do. But before I get into those 6 tips, there is a premise that I live my life by, and this premise, I discovered it when I was in 3rd year of medical school. I remember I was on my GP placement and I was shadowing a GP, this woman. She was probably around my age. I think she was like late 20s, early 30s, you know, was a newly qualified GP, maybe in her first 1 or 2 years out of training. And she said to me what she discovered quite early on, and that some of her friends and her colleagues and classmates and things from medical school discovered a little bit later and made them do big shifts later on in life. She discovered this early on and then she wanted to share it with me, and so I'm going to share it with you as well. And it was the premise that my life should dictate my work and not the other way around. And I've carried that with me since 3rd year in med school, that my life needs to dictate my work. My profession, being a doctor, is something that can be really all-encompassing. It can take over every aspect of your life, and if you wanted to, you could work all the hours that God gives. And so it's very easy to let your work take over your life and dictate what things that you do for yourself. But from the start, I've always wanted to say that my life dictates my work. The other thing as well that helps me to do it all is that I have a really clear vision of what I want my life to be. A clear vision of what I want my life to be right now, and also in 5 years time and in 10 years time. I can see the vision so clearly that when I talk about it to my friends and family, I can speak of it like it's a memory, like it's already happened. And so before you start, you know, implementing all of these tips that I'm going to give, really sit down and take some time to, you know, spend dreaming and planning and envisioning what you want your life to be. And once you've got that really clear picture, you know, you can see it so clearly how you want your life to be. It makes it much easier to do it all, because then you can decide what it all really is. So the first thing that I do, number 1, I don't do it all. Shock, surprise. I know you can run to here to find how I do it all, but the truth is I don't do it all. All the things that you see that have been juggled and what it appears that I'm doing, I don't do it all. Like I just said, I have a clear vision of my life, and because I have this clear vision, if there's activities that I'm doing that aren't bringing me closer to that vision of my life, I don't do it. And so that helps me to cut out some of the other activities and waffle and things that people might ask me to do that I don't want to do because it's not bringing me closer to that vision. And so I've learned to say no to a lot of things. And so I don't do all the things that maybe some other people do because I just decide it's not for me. There's some things like, you know, it's really important to keep up with my family and my friends, and I usually like to schedule in dates and, you know, face-to-face kind of meetings. And in the pandemic that has been difficult, but I've always been someone that doesn't really like sitting down on the phone for hours and hours. When I was a teenager, you know, in high school, I enjoyed doing things like that, but no, since becoming an adult, I don't enjoy doing that. It takes up too much of my time, and so that's one of the things that I say no to. I don't sit around on the phone for hours on end. I don't like doing lots of little catch-ups over the phone. I do make time to keep up with the people that are really important to me, but that's one of my big no-nos. And so that's just an example, because I have this vision of my life, how I want to spend my time. You can cut out on some of those things. Also, I don't do it all because I've got a lot of help. In the pandemic, things might be a little bit different, but my husband is amazing. He's my partner, he's my teammate, and so he helps with so much stuff. Also, I rely on the people in my village as well. I'm really lucky to have my parents that live close by, and they can be part of our childcare bubble during this time. And so I do rely on them for some help too when I'm at work and making sure that my child is taken care of. Also, something that I've decided as time's gone on is that my time is worth just as much as money is to me. And sometimes actually I think time is worth more than money to me. And so as I've gotten older and, I am in the position where my income has, become increased and I'm able to live more of a comfortable life. So some of these things I couldn't do when I was a student, but now I can. And I like to spend money to bring back more time for myself. I don't really enjoy cleaning. It takes me a long time, and because I have quite a high standard to how I want things, it's a real big taxing thing to do, and I don't find it relaxing like some people do. And so I have a cleaner. They come once a week, and even during the pandemic they still come. We just social distance and wear masks and things, and they come once a week and they clean my house top to toe. And that amount of money given that really has just opened up so much time for me. Also, in my late teens, early 20s, I used to spend so much time on my hair. I used to have loose natural hair, so afro hair, and I used to spend hours on end every week, sometimes every day, doing my hair and trying to get the styles that I liked. And at the time it was great, I loved it, I really enjoyed it. But as I've had more responsibilities, I found that spending that much time on my hair just wasn't for me. And so I got a style that I really admired and liked on a lot of other people, and that's Sisterlocks. And it was a big expense in the beginning, in the hundreds of pounds, but honestly the amount of time it's given back to me has been invaluable. So the first thing is I don't do it all, so that's a myth. So number 2 is I don't do everything at once. I've really learned that multitasking, everyone talks about women, we're so good at multitasking, and yeah, we might be able to juggle a few things, but really we shouldn't have to. I found that if I focus on one thing at a time and do that really well, I can do it much better than if I do 10 things at a time, and actually I end up finishing things quicker. And so for example, the way in which I've compartmentalised things is that when I'm at work, I'm at work. I make sure I've got really good childcare so that I don't have to worry about my daughter, and I don't worry about the housework, I don't worry about any of those other things. At work, I do work. I set aside a certain number of hours a day where I do my admin stuff at work, and then I have my clinic time, and I try not to let my clinic time bleed into my admin time. Some days are harder than others, but I found that being really strict like that, compartmentalising things, has made me be so much more productive. There's also something called time blocking and time batching, or task batching I think it's called, where I find like tasks, similar tasks, and I do them all together at one time, so that my mind is focused on that, rather than switching from cooking and cleaning to looking after my daughter to doing some laundry to doing some work in my portfolio, and just switching things up all the time. So if I'm doing something, that's what I'm doing. One thing, another example of that is meal planning and meal prepping. So I used to, cook every evening, or sometimes I cook one evening for 2 nights something, but I would do that most days of the week. And that just seemed to only take maybe half an hour to an hour, but it was that time every day. But now I spend about 2 to 3 hours maximum on a Sunday night where I meal prep for the entire week. And even though that's a big bit of time that I've allocated there, it then frees up my evenings for the rest of the 6 days. And so that's another tip that I have. Don't do everything at once. It's lovely to be able to multitask, but we don't have to. Now the third thing that I do, number 3, is that I plan. Anyone that knows me won't be surprised. I love to plan. I plan everything. And to be quite honest, we only have 24 hours in a day and 7 days a week. There's no more time that's going to be, found. People talk about, oh, I'll find some time for that, or, I'll squeeze that in somewhere. There's no extra hours. You can't find more time. We only have what we have. And so it's really important to plan things out. Even down to the simplest things. I plan out my finances once a month. I sit down with my husband and we go through the calendar, we look at what we've got going, and we put money aside for all the things, and before a penny is spent, it's already been allocated to everything. Other things that I plan, in terms of my content, I go through and I try and plan it up to 3 months at a time of what videos I'm going to do and when I'm going to be recording them, and block out some time for that. Even down to my Instagram posts, I plan everything out, because if I don't do it, it won't happen. The amount of times that my dad has said, oh, do you mind just doing this? And I said, oh yeah, I'll do that. Then a week later he said, did you get around to doing that? And I'm like, no, because I didn't put it in the diary. If I don't plan it out, it doesn't exist. And having that kind of calendar, that schedule that I stick to, it gives me a lot more freedom and it helps me to be able to relax more. If I know the time has been allocated, then it's, you know, it's great. And I make sure that I spend one day a week where I plan out that week as well. So I have like big planning sessions. So at the end of the year, I might look at what I've got planned for the entire year. And that's how I'm able to put my annual leave requests in very early. And that's how we're able to go on a lot of holidays, because I plan them out right from the start and I look for deals. And so yeah, plan. Just make sure you plan out every aspect of your life. I know it sounds quite taxing, but actually it's quite enjoyable. It gives you things to look forward to, and it helps you to say no to things that aren't, you know, bringing you closer to where you want to be in life. I can do another video all about how I do plan things out, maybe like my year plan or my monthly plans, or even looking at how I budget. Let me know down in the comments if that's something you would be interested in, because I am a bit of an organisation freak, and so I can share some of my habits with you if you like. Now, number 4 goes into a little bit of what I was saying just a moment ago in terms of planning. And that is to schedule in and plan regular breaks and regular fun activities. So I'm a Christian, and there's this really wonderful thing called the Sabbath that God has created for us, because when God created us, he knew that as humans, you know, we might take on lots of activities and we need to have some rest. And so once a week, from Friday sunset until Saturday sunset, that is called the Sabbath, and that is a holy day, a day for rest. And I observe that, and it means that once a week, and I don't have to do any other activities apart from resting and spending time with God and with my family and my close friends. It's a really, you know, it's really cathartic time of the week. It's a time for reflection and for, you know, real rest. I know there's a lot of people that may not be Christians or don't keep the Sabbath, but I would really encourage you to, you know, take that one day a week, put that into your schedule where you get to shut off from everything without feeling any guilt because you need it. Also, scheduling other breaks as well. So making sure you schedule in holidays. Right now, you know, pandemic, we can't really travel anywhere, but I've got 2 weeks coming up that I've got off in April, and it's helping me to keep going and keep doing everything I'm doing, so I've got something to look forward to. So make sure you plan out those regular breaks, even, you know, planning out when you have self-care. So like on Mondays, I remember before my daughter was even born, I said to Raf, can Monday nights be my night? Can Monday night be mommy night, where I do nothing mom related, where Raf takes care of Isabella and he, you know, puts her to bed and does all the house stuff, whatever. And that's my time where I'm able to just do an activity just for me. When lockdown was a little bit more relaxed, I did things like I went to a mixed martial arts class that I really enjoyed, or maybe I'll meet up with a friend. And so I'm hoping to get those things back, but that's what I do. I just schedule in regular breaks, and then you don't have any guilt because you know that that time is there. Whereas when you take a break, when you think you should be doing something else, it feels like procrastination, and then you start feeling bad about it. So tip number 5 of how I get it all done is that, you know, sometimes things aren't perfect. I've spoken about compartmentalising things and taking regular breaks, but sometimes you might have a really intense period of time where there's just so much going on. And actually, it's the perfect time for me to record this video because I'm in one of those periods of time right now. I have a really big deadline coming up. That's like a career-defining deadline at work. I also am helping to bring the COVID vaccine to the Black community in the town that I live in, the city that I live in, and that's taking a lot of logistics, lots of meetings with public health, and I'm also working full-time and doing all my other regular activities as well. And so things are really intense at the moment. And so the way in which I still get everything done and still manage during these really intense times is that I make sure they're short. Sometimes, you know, you can't get past it, you know, you can't sometimes you can't like find a way to get around having these really busy periods of time, sometimes where it feels really exhausting or you feel close to burnout. And what I make sure is to make those periods of time short as I can. So right now, this month is a busy one, February, but by the end of February, I should be done with the majority of these extra activities. And so that I know that March is coming where I can, settle back down into my usual routine. And then April, I've got some really lovely time off as well. So that's important too. Number 6 is to be, kind to yourself when you don't do things the way that you wanted to do. When you feel like you're not managing to do everything that you want to do, it's important to remember that in your life, all those activities, there are some things that are more important than others. And so if some of the less important things are going to the wayside and you're not able to keep up with them, that's fine. There's this analogy of, some balls. So imagine you're a juggler and you're juggling balls, and that's all the activities that you have in your life. Sometimes it's okay to drop one of the balls. Say you've got 10 balls going and it just feels a bit overwhelming. Sometimes it's all right to drop that ball, but you need to make sure that the balls that you're dropping, they're balls that can bounce back. And there shouldn't be what we call glass balls. So for me in my life, glass balls are my marriage, the relationship with my daughter, and making sure that she's safe and she's well, and also making sure that I'm practicing medicine safely. But some of the rubber balls, or some of the balls that I can drop and they bounce back, are keeping up with the house, making sure that I've rang every single one of my friends this week. That can, sometimes the ball can drop, and we can understand if you've got good friends. Sometimes it might be that you haven't, had your self-care that week, and some of those balls you can allow to drop. But it's just important to realise when things are happening and it's not going to plan, being able to, regroup and build up a new plan. So, I'm full-time, I'm working as a full-time doctor, and right now it does feel overwhelming, especially since going back to work with my daughter. I had this really clear plan that I thought I'd be working, however many days a week, but I found that it's just too much, and some of the balls were dropping, but I was making sure they were just the rubber balls. But what I'm doing to try and get myself back where I can start picking up some more of those activities is to change things and, move things around. Just because you made a plan doesn't mean you can't change it. And so actually in the next couple of months, I'm going to be changing the way in which that I'm working. And I'm going to be cutting down my days. Like I said before, time to me is more valuable than money at the moment. And so having a young family is starting to take more precedent. And also I'm really enjoying this content creation kind of world that I'm, just slowly bringing myself into. And I want to give more time to that. And so in a couple of months, I'm going to be cutting down on the number of days that I'm doing at work, and probably down to 3.5 days at work. And it's okay to do things like that. It's okay to, make big shifts like that, if it's, as long as you're still going towards that vision of that life that you want. And it's good to revision as well. What I imagined life would be like when I had children before I actually had Isabella is so different to how it is now, and that's fine. Just be adaptable. So I really hope this video was interesting and useful. How I do it all. The secret to it is that I don't do it all, but there's a few tips in there for you to maybe implement into your own life as well. But let's talk. Please let me know any other videos you want to see. Comment down below. I try to respond to every comment that I get. And don't forget to also follow me on Instagram. It's also Life with Dr. Amanda, and I try and upload content there 3 times a week, and I'm trying to get better and better. I'm still learning all this stuff and it's quite new, but the support that I've gotten from you all has been really amazing, and just unexpected as well in such a short period of time. But take care.